Hi, it's Madeline, and today I'm going to be reviewing The Blood of Olympus by Rick Riordan. So, The Blood of Olympus, if you don't already know, and if you don't already know what this book is, I don't exactly know why you're here, because I'm going to be talking about everything that went down in this book. So, I'll just tell you that it was a very good book. It's the 5th book in the Heroes of Olympus series, which follows the Percy Jackson and the Olympus series. I have reviews for all of those books. The Percy Jackson Olympian one is in like one video. It's one whole series review, and it's my first video, so it's not the greatest thing ever, but you can check it out if you want. But this was, like I said, the 5th book in the series, the last book. It was a fairly good conclusion. There were some loose ends that I wish were a bit wrapped up a bit more, and although I still did enjoy reading it, it was very good. I gave it a 90%. So if you haven't already read this book, I would suggest leaving because lots of spoilers, lots of sticky notes, so bye. So I liked how we had these two things going on at the same time. We had the thing with the Athena Parthenos and the shuttle traveling and going off to Camp Half-Blood, and at the same time there was the Seven, and they were kind of like preparing for the battle with Gaia, and they were traveling and whatnot, and that was interesting. And I like also how we had this thing building with like Camp Half-Blood and Camp Jupiter, like how Octavian was just building, he was kind of like building an army, we were kind of figuring out, and I liked how we had all these things layered in. But the one thing I wanted was to have a point of view of either like Percy or Annabeth, instead of maybe like Jason or whatever, just to opt it out. I would have preferred just to see, because like they were our main characters throughout the Percy Jackson Olympian series, and they've been some of the main characters, although it's not centered entirely around them in this book. Or this series. We didn't get to see their point of view, and I would have really loved that. I think Jason and Piper needed time to shine, because I know not a lot of people like Piper. I don't know why. I think she's pretty cool, and some people don't really like Jason either, so I understand why Rick Riordan did it. So right off the bat, we have this scene with Nike and 4 of the 7. We have I believe it was Percy, Leo, Hazel, and Frank. They went off to find her because she was supposedly out of control, and they need to like fix that. So we had this scene, and I did enjoy reading it. It wasn't like my favorite like battle scene that Rick Riordan had written, but I still enjoyed it. Like, I thought Nike was interesting because she's kind of like Aries in the way that she puts out this vibe. Like, instead of like this vibe that makes you feel like angry and like wanting to start a fight, she puts up this vibe that is like a very competitive vibe. I liked how they just captured Nike and tied her up and threw her in the Argo 2 into the stables. It was just a great way to treat a god, but you know, whatever. So throughout this book, we had a lot of heavy foreshadowing that Leo was going to die, and I had already known this. I was just about 50 pages in, and my friend was over, and we were, me and my other friend were discussing Percy Jackson, and she said something about like we were discussing like the prophecy and how like it applies to Jason and Leo, and she let it slip that Jason lived, and I was like, no. So I didn't know, like I knew that he was going to die, and I was very pleased with the end with things that happen. I'll get to that later, but I had already known, so it was like it wasn't exactly the same. I was spoiled for that, so thank you, Jessie. But I was spoiled for a lot of things in this series thanks to the internet. I guess it wasn't as bad. Like, if I hadn't been spoiled for like the rest of the series, like I was spoiled for what happened at the end of the Mark of Athena with them falling into Tartarus and everything. I already knew about all that and everything else, but there was like a lot of heavy foreshadowing. They mentioned something about this physician's cure, which lifesaver in the end, literally. One of my favorite scenes when the 7 were looking for the ingredients or stuff to help them find the cure or make the cure was when Piper and Annabeth went down into the Temple of Fear, I believe it was, with that giant Mimas. And when they were, I think they like released these spirits, these like fiery spirit things, the Mac guy. Mac, I don't know how to pronounce that. Again, the Greek mythology, the names and stuff, I suck at pronouncing them. So please excuse me if I say it wrong. But I really like that scene, how Piper was kind of like leading Annabeth, because Annabeth is really logical and she doesn't think with her emotions, where Piper does. Like, she was leading Annabeth in, like, in this situation, she couldn't use logic, so they had to use their emotions. So I was really nice because these two balance each other out. I'm really enjoying their friendship in this book. It's really great, and I really like that scene. There's also really awesome part where we're reading in Leo's chapter in his point of view, and this is where he's with Apollo and Artemis. And so it says, Leo didn't usually think of the ukulele as a sad instrument. Pathetic, sure, but not sad. Yet the tune Apollo strummed was so melancholy, it broke Leo's feels. Rick Riordan putting some fangirl stuff in there. Really, I liked that part. And I liked, you know, he made the Valdesignator and he was like trading with Apollo. And then they got the, like, I think it was a daisy that they got. And then they had like all the ingredients for the physician's cure. After that scene, they were able to go and they went to go see one of the doctors, Dr. something, I don't remember. He was like a famous, he was like the son of Apollo. And so they went to go see him so that he could make out the physician's cure. And at the beginning, they had this like the statue with like the security statue basically, and they like, I liked how they put it on idiot mode and how she was. I like that scene as well. I like every scene. If you haven't noticed, it's a Rick Riordan book, so of course it's going to be great. So I'm sorry if I keep saying I like this scene or I thought this scene was awesome or whatever. But anyways, like I said, that scene was great, and you know, Jason randomly got glasses because apparently he's like nearsighted or whatever, and then it was hinted at even more that Leo was going to die. One of my favorite scenes was towards the end of the book with the fight with the giants, so like the demigods fighting with their godly parents. I really liked that. Like I wish it would have been like an Annabeth's point of view or Percy's point of view, because there was some things going on with Athena and Annabeth that were mentioned in the Mark of Athena, because she sent her on the quest and Athena was like, you're a disappointment to me or whatever. I wanted to see like what like Annabeth and her mom would have said, or like Percy and Poseidon. I like Percy and Poseidon's relationship because Percy, like, I know Poseidon's not the best dad, but he's probably the best out of all the gods because he actually kind of cares about Percy. Like, he visited him on his birthday in the Percy Jackson and the Olympian series. He's there for him more than the other gods. Well, then we just had like Jason and Zeus, and he's like, yeah, you're a great son, but I can't see you that often because I'm Zeus. So, like, it was kind of pointless. They said, like, they exchanged a few words. The one thing I like is, like, they were fighting side by side. Like, it was Zeus and Jason and Percy and Poseidon and Annabeth and Athena and Frank and Mars and Leo and Hephaestus. And then we had Piper and Aphrodite. And Piper is like stabbing the giants, and then Aphrodite's just on this like cloud throwing like rose petals at the giant and cheering Piper on. I'm like, come on, can't you do something else? Like, I know maybe she's using charm speak to encourage or something, some magical properties, but like, come on, can't you just help and kill the giant, I guess? So while this stuff was going on, we have like Nico and Raina and Coach Hedge shadow traveling with Athena Parthenos, and I really enjoyed seeing from Nico and Raina's point of view. I liked how we figured out, like, with Raina, because she started Bellona, we didn't know too much about her powers up until now. We learned that she can share her strength with anyone, so like with an army, or with, in this case, she shared her strength with Nico, and they were able to shadow travel before they landed in the volcano, I believe it was. So I thought that was fairly interesting to find out about Raina, because before this, we didn't get her point of view, we didn't see her too much, we only saw her occasionally, off and on kind of thing, but this is really great. Nico is so lucky that he can shadow travel. Like, I know it takes a lot of energy out of him, and like it can kill him if he doesn't too often, but like, if it weren't for his shadow travel, they would be dead many times over. And so after that, they shadow traveled to San Juan, where Raina had grown up, and there were like kind of hints about she had like a bad past, and we know that she was on the island with Circe, and we know that something, because when Percy and Annabeth went, they kind of destroyed the island and they were pirates and everything, but we didn't know what happened before that. Like, we knew she was from like South America, but we didn't know what happened. I really like to see how the hunters and the Amazons were working together, which kind of makes sense because they're both groups of strong young women, and I really like to see them work together. But we learned that they had drawn Nico and Reyna and Coach Hedge, of course, so that they could trap Orion, because they've had the Hunters and Reynas had this long feud with them or whatever. So throughout the scene we kind of learned about Reyna and her past, because her sister Hyla was there as well, and when they were fighting with Orion, they were back in their old house, I believe, and we learned kind of like her father had this history with Bellona, and I kind of suspected that he was abusive just from the way she was talking about him and being back in her house kind of thing. So he became like so obsessed with like Bellona, he would kind of just became a bit abusive and obsessed, and kind of like became really obsessed with war and just got very paranoid. And so he wasn't a very good father because of that, and we learned that like Reyna had actually ended up killing him by accident, because she was trying to protect her sister, and she didn't realize it was celestial bronze, or it was imperial gold, one of those metals that she stabbed him with, and it killed him. She didn't want that secret getting out. It was interesting. I really liked seeing what her past was like. This part, right before they were able to get to Camp Half-Blood with Nico, and Bryce, this kid that was working for Octavian, where he turned him like into a ghost. Like, that was crazy. Occasionally you get to see how powerful Nico really is, because I think we often forget that he's a child of the big three, and just how powerful he can be. After that, we had the Pegasi come, and they took Reyna and Nico and Coach Hedge back to Camp Half-Blood, and that was like their last resort, because Nico could not travel anymore, because he was like fading, like he was literally fading, like he wasn't all the way there, so they had to like just take him. And it was really good that the Pegasi came, and that they like Reyna had like a special bond with them because of her and Scipio, and that was really nice. So we finally have the Greeks and Romans fighting side by side now that like the Seven show up and the Athena Parthenos is there and everything's being sorted out. Gaia rose thanks to a nosebleed, and so I thought she would have been harder to defeat. Like I knew beforehand that the battle scene was definitely not as long as the one in The Last Olympian. I had known that because The Last Olympian was pretty much the whole book. This was about a page or two, a few pages, which it was still good, but I wish we had gotten a bit more. I know a lot of people feel like this, so would have been nice. I think like another 100 pages or so of this book would have been great. We got to see some things wrap up, but we had this thing with Leo, and he, like, while we were in his point of view, we didn't really get to see his plan, like what exactly was going on. So there was, something was going on, because like Leo always has a plan of some sort. And so when Festus came back, and he was up with Festus, and he was defeating Gaia, and he caused this huge explosion, ultimately killing himself and Octavian in the process. Thank you, Octavian. Anyways, just set that aside. We last chapter, I was reading this at like 12:30 at night, and I was kind of confused. I was like, hey, what if this is Elysium? What if this is like some fever dream or something? What if he's actually dead? So, but I think he's alive for the most part, because he got the physician's cure, he put it into Festus, and Festus put it into, injected it into him later, and they ended up on Ogygia, and he got Calypso back, and then it just leaves off there. And I'm like, we got a little bit of reading between those two, which I was really happy about. And then it basically ended, and I wish we got to see them going back to Camp Half-Blood. And then I really found that the characters, like the Seven, didn't care as much about Leo's death, and they did care. Like Piper and Jason were talking about him a bit, like on the when they were sitting on the roof or whatever, but still, like, I don't know, Percy and Annabeth were that sad. But I'm glad that we did get to see that there were hints of a good future for the Seven. We got to see that Percy and Annabeth are going to be going to school together and then going off to New Rome for college. We got to see with Nico, with Will. It's nice that Nico has finally like found someone and it wasn't like official, but it was going in that direction, which I was really glad that I found someone, and that was really nice. Hazel and Kim, Jupiter are friends, and Jason's going to be going back and forth between the two camps. And overall, it was a fairly good ending. It wasn't perfect. I wish, like I said, we got like another 100 or so more pages just wrapped up. The series has been amazing. The 2 series, just amazing. And I'm getting pretty excited for Magnus Chase, which is coming out. And Annabeth had mentioned the thing with Magnus Chase, that he mentioned that she had a cousin somewhere else in the States. Anyways, that was my book review for The Blood of Olympus. Kind of sad that the series is over. I wish there was more. Let me know down below in the comments what you thought of the ending of this book, what you thought of the series in general. Just discuss Percy Jackson, everything Percy Jackson down in the comments. I hope you like this video, and I hope to see you next time. Bye!